It looks like Twitter is back in action. And then I expect the Facebook to shit out, honestly. I'm sure I'm supposed to not curse on these things. We shall see. But this is just a test stream. Do not get too excited about this guy. Let me see. So I think we're working on D Live, everything but Facebook. I probably have to remove and re-add Facebook, in all honesty. Is it worth removing and re-adding Facebook? All right, hold on. Let's see if I can just do that on the fly. Let's see. Oh, well, I suppose. Shout outs to Facebook, or I guess it's Restream, because now you can just add a channel and then it just pops up on the fly. Life is good. All right, well, let's let everybody know that I'm doing this. Where do I do it? I do it in my own personal IRC channel where I am a nerd. I do it in the Not Math IRC channel because Bradius is there. Boom, wake up and write. I'll put it in Teens for Christ, which is a social organization that I have been a part of these many years. And I don't even put it in firm chats. Let's live a little. And then, let me see. I should put it in my own Discord. Blah, 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 blah. Oh no, it's reloading the whole deal. Oh wait, I see chats coming in. I'm supposed to be responding to these. Is that you, Tulpa? Hold on, I can barely see across the screen. Rescream chat. It is indeed big. I heard the new ZYZ just dropped. I haven't even dropped it yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it out under my own name, in all honesty, because I don't know. People are just so like. Well, for those of you who don't know me and my work, the new book is called Space Tards. So it could potentially cause some problems with a sensitive viewing audience. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. All right, if somebody feels like this, they could let the JRE Discord know, but I'm not going to hassle these fuckers. All right, there we go. Writing streams, writing related content. I think that's all the people that I'm going to bother with this morning. All right, so I changed the chat so I can see it gigantic over here. So it kind of looks like I'm just naturally looking at my story like, what about that title? But in fact, it is a computer, which it's supposed to be. It's got to be a little further back. There we go. I can barely reach this thing before my hand starts vanishing. All right, so this is day 2 of the story edit, and because we were so rusty yesterday, if I have the voice to do it, I'm going to start over and read the whole chapter that we just did, because honestly, I think I needed to sleep on it a little bit. It was, I can't tell what is, the story is not good, and what is just, I'm just embarrassed at how goofy the language in it is, because it is goofy language. Oh, then I see Pancake up in there. Yeah, so welcome. Thank you for joining me early this morning. Am I getting that same like pixelated face thing that I'm getting on the other stream, or is it about the same? Lord only knows. But reminder, if you know me in real life, don't comment on the stream. Hackers from the internet will come after you. They really will. These nerds are insatiable. Oh, I see Incog up in there. Wait, the pixelation thing is happening again still? Oh, well, thank you. Um, yeah, I'm a real piece of ass here. I can't. Well, vision is blurry. Just woke up. I was thinking about that earlier today. I was trying to. Well, one, I was checking my hearing yesterday, and like 15,000 hertz is all I can do nowadays. I used to be at 22. I could hear, and now I'm old and used up. And then I was trying to play Metroid Dread on the Switch, which is actually kind of cool. There's some QuickTime events in it, but they're handled well. But I was looking at this little screen, and I'm like, this thing is tiny. It's not even my Switch. I took it from a friend so that they will study. Um, I know. Uh, well, we're gonna get reincarnated as something atrocious. Maybe he'll turn into a hawk or something, Tulpa. But I don't know about me. I'm just hoping that I come back as something multicellular. But I digress. All right, why don't we read this story? So for anybody tuning in for the first time ever, this is an edit of a story called Three Wolf. Three Wolf is 16,000 words long, which should go out to about, I'd say, 70 or 80 pages when all is said and done. Maybe it'll be more like 70. I'm going to make it a real big font. We'll add like maps and dumb stuff like that. I'm really going to rice this out. Although I don't know if you can really call it ricing it out when you're just adding stuff nerds like to in a graphic sense. So I'm Zak Zyz. You can see all my works at zakzyz.com. I do this every morning nowadays, and Lord, this story was inspired by those shirts with the three wolves on them. So at the end, whoever has the most edits on this story, I will get you a shirt with three wolves on it, and maybe I'll custom it up. Let's see. And so, just so you know, when we are editing here, why do I have AnyDesk open? Get out of here, fucking AnyDesk. Oh, is it auto starting with OS X options? Remove from dock. It is. God, whose computer was I fixing? I don't really know. Probably my own. Like, put on AnyDesk to beg tech support for help. All right, so you can see here, I have an edit list here. So far, we have one edit for Catalyst. Every time that, it's OFW Aku Ja Lifestyle Person Turquoise waving. Is that a turquoise child over there? Yeah, welcome to the stream. We're just about to start editing. I do give out points for edits that are accepted into the manuscript that make it into the final. Whoever has the most points, I will send a prize, usually like a shirt or a hat or something. This is your chance to get one of the coveted Edit Ace hats. If I can find mine, I'll put it up somewhere. But this is a fantasy story. It is a low fantasy. There's not a lot of magic and hoo-for-all going on. Pink hand waving. I don't see the emojis. I just see the text representation of them there. So this is a low fantasy story. If you wanted something that it was like, I would say it's kind of similar to some of the Joe Abercrombie First Law type stuff, but a lot more goofy with its language. I'm not writing this for a mass market audience. I'm writing it for complete fucking nerds who like goofy stuff with language. So kind of like, I don't know. I think I don't read that kind of stuff, so, which is a bad sign. But I would say it would be like, I'm sure that Piers Anthony or the Discworld guy, they were into that kind of stuff. Oh, it's Jose once again. All right, let's begin. So we're going to go through the whole story that we read yesterday, and then we're going to work on a new chapter. And our goal is before, what time is it? 5:47 here. Before 9 a.m., we would like to finish the other chapter. Though I'm not hearing good things from my voice right here, so if my voice is exhausted, we will just review the chapter from yesterday because it needs it. So, Chapter 1. 100 ducats for Three Wolf's head. A sad remnant lingered on old man Morani's face. He was strong once, but no longer. Lord Malorn Morani of Skywork was Lord Malorn Morani of Skywork was 60, stooped and sallow. His beard was threadbare, and his breath was abominable. Does it work to swap those two? His breath was abominable, and his beard was threadbare. Nah, that's fine. His beard was threadbare, and his breath was abominable. From deep pits of discontent, the hoary old landlord's eyes squinted at the world like it was half what he was owed. All right, I like that. So here we establish that Moraine is a miserable old SOB, and that he is old and decrepit. So Moraine will be a part of the story throughout. I think it's a good establishment of him. It was a long and thirsty climb to Skywark Keep. By the time the hunters reached the stronghold, the day was in deep decline. The sun slunk behind a gray wall of clouds, and a biting wind blew at their backs. Skywark Keep was a narrow fortress of heavy granite slabs, wedged between two icy, unscalable peaks. It was good ground. A garrison of 50 could hold here against a host of hundreds. Hell yeah. And we're doing fine. Little froggy, but that's better than it could be, let me tell you. As the troop trudged uphill towards the stronghold, Flinzer had fantasized about the warm welcome that surely lay in wait. Sizzling venison, spiced mead, a roaring blaze, and comely company for Flinzer's schist of Fenwick, fabled finder of fugitives, and his motley mob of manhunters. So this is where we start laying on the alliteration pretty thick, and just let the person know who's reading it, like, this is how the story is going to be. If you don't like that kind of thing, throw it out of there, because it's not going to change. Instead, Old Man Moraine met them at the unfriendly edge of the drawbridge, flanked by armed guard. 7 staid spearmen stood at his sides, and a brace of bowmen lined the ramparts at his back. Mannerless Moraine kept Flinzer at pike point, even after they announced themselves. He made no move to invite the tired troop inside for refreshment. Flinzer had a bad feeling about this one. As he stared down the shaft of Moraine's crusty mistrust, Flinzer began to understand why the bounty on Three-Wolf was so large and long-standing. It wasn't only the insulting lack of hospitality. A deadbeat gleam shone in the old landlord's eye. Sure as sunrise, the codger would contrive some cause to cheat them when the deed was done. If it was spring, Flinzer would have turned on his heel and headed home. If it were midsummer, his troop would have never trudged to this homely little fief. Skywark stood on the backwater border between the evergreen boughs of Adder Vale and the icy waste north of northernmost Yarleast. But it was fall, the bitter end of a rough season. Nights grew longer, times got tighter. 100 golden ducats could see Flinzer's troop through till spring, if they could only pry the prize from this ornery old man's hands. Flinzer decided to dicker. If Moraine agreed easily, it would suggest he never intended to pay the purse. Bounty's a little light for a legend like Three-Wolf. Besides, 100 ducats won't 100 ducats. Besides, 100 ducats won't divvy. There are 7 of us. Flinzer motioned to his 6 companions, arrayed behind him in a silent semicircle. Moraine squinted till his scabby lids were scarcely a hair apart. He was like, Flinzer was the friendly face, with his inviting green eyes and tidy gray beard. This is all based on Zartet, by the way, who doesn't even have green eyes, but he's now my archetype for all old men with a gray beard. His companions were a hard-bitten bunch. Their faces were sun-scorched and wind-burned, scarred and scoured by Their faces were sun-scorched and wind-burned, scarred and scoured down by the dust of countless leagues. They wore fur-lined deerskin dusters, dry with... It's so hard to get all these tongue twisters. Oh my God. They wore fur-lined deerskin dusters, dyed with drab blotches to break up their outlines. Beneath faded cowls, their eyes were cold and unforgiving. Flinzer's men had seen so many pleading, defeated fugitives, nothing could move them any more. The bounty hunters stared back at the superior force with the impeccable boredom of veterans. Old Man Moraine concluded his inspection, sniffed, and spat into the moat. Three-Wolf is no legend. He's a mere menace. Don't you fret about your divvy. No, that's the pirate voice from Zeros. Three-Wolf is no legend. He's a mere menace. Don't you fret about your divvy. Why's that? Flinzer asked. Won't be 7 of you left. Moraine flashed a gap-toothed grin. Flinzer pressed his tongue against the roof of his mouth to bottle his temper. A battle on this bridge would go badly, and besides, he sorely needed this score. Moraine's spearmen eyed Flinzer, eager for the order to skewer him. Flinzer took 10 deep breaths. He could feel this bounty blooming into a full-blown fiasco, just like the last one, and the one before, and the one before that. In 10 terse seconds, the whole rotten year came flooding back. In a good year, Flinzer's troop might clear 4 or 5 bounties before fall. Their aim was always the same: net enough ne'er-do-wells to live like kings all winter, somewhere that never saw snow. Thus far, this year was a complete flop. First, Flinzer lost an enormous bounty to Fat Tom's troop. The marks were the Boodle brothers, a pair of witless alchemists who'd stupidly outraged the coin king of Cameria. For centuries, the Camarian coinfish was the most trusted tender upon the Ark. The swordfish and blazoned coins were long believed to be too intricate to counterfeit. Coinfish were so trusted, they bore no bites. The Boodle brothers managed to mint their own coinfish with a clever centrifugal mold. I wonder if coinfish should be capitalized there. We capitalize it up there. But let's see. Like, you don't capitalize dollar. Lowercase the names of currency, but capitalize the reference to the country or region. Okay. See, these are all spots where y'all could be getting points on this. All right, so coinfish. Oh, I'm dying. Yeah, we're all sick over here. The device deposited a thin layer of gold onto slugs of leaded copper. For a jubilant year, the pair lived like princes. Inevitably, greed got the better of them. The brothers brewed a batch of bunk bullion with a skin too thin, and the shine wore off. Apoplectic, the Coin King announced the biggest bounty the Ark had ever seen. Flinzer's troop was hot on the trail, perhaps a day or two away from payday. I think I say, Flinzer's troop was hot on the trail, perhaps just a day away from payday. No, let's take out the just. He's the Coin King. Can't stop reading his fish coin. Well, they got a fish on it. Fish coin is dope. I would get with that. Then the fugitive forgers made a terrible error and shacked up with one of Fat Tom's 7 sisters. The trap sprang and the fat lady sang. Flinzer lost the race. He had to stand among the howling crowd in Marlin Square and watch Fat Tom collect a fatter purse from the bejeweled hand of the Coin King himself. What a sentence. They even let Tom pull the guillotine lever and behead both Boodle brothers. The forgers' skulls were gilded via their own method. Those gruesome golden gourds hung from the rostrum of the Royal Marlin above the main palace gate, lanced through the socket. Alas! The Boodle beat was especially bad because Flinzer had snaked 2 scores from Fat Tom the year before. He was due. So Jira is saying that this is so thick, it's actually infuriating. It's very, very thick and heavy. This is like a fucking cement milkshake. Oh, I would love to get somebody in an Irish accent to do the audiobook for this. It'd be fucking dope. And it's like, alas, the Boodle beat was especially bad, lad, because Flinzer had just snaked 2 scores from Fat Tom the year before. No, it's the pirate voice again. It's very thick, Jira. It's not going to be for everybody there. And in fact, it may be for nobody. This may be well into the land of insufferability. Oh, Jesus, Pancake. You know I'm gay, right? Like, just putting it out there. Yeah, I get that's the point. You are succeeding. Oh, I between you and me, Jared, I think this one is almost unpublishable by any normal means. No, I'm just pretending to be gay, so stop bothering me. See ya. Still smarting, Flinzer's flock chased after a disgraced retainer from the inner circle of the Mad Prince of Terhaljitan. The renegade was a lucrative prospect. The prince reliably paid lavish ransoms for the return of his wayward pets. Flinzer's flock caught the... so mad shouldn't be capitalized. Still better than Dark Mage's book. That is not the standard that I'm aspiring to. Really and truly. So it does slake off a little bit. The heaviness of the text is probably worse in this chapter. And then it slakes off a little bit because we have like a plot to get through and we can't spend all day wool gathering with the Boodle brothers. But yeah, this chapter is where the literary devices are coming fast and furious, and they will make appearances throughout the entire book. It never stops being this way, but it does thin out a little bit so that I can get through the narrative. Because this takes forever, right? And it's hard to write. And people don't like it, so you might you might wonder why. But still smarting, Flinzer's flock chased after a disgraced retainer from the inner circle of the mad Prince of Terhalgetan. The renegade was a lucrative prospect. The prince reliably paid lavish ransoms for the return of his wayward pets. Flinzer's flock caught the Terhalgetani's trail and pursued for days. They drove the mark into the labyrinthine badlands before the chalk cliffs of southernmost Kaz. And yeah, throughout the story, we're always using like easternmost, westernmost, southernmost, etc., and it may stick out and be annoying. So if you find that that's the case, it would have to stick out pretty hard to be more annoying than some of the other stuff that we're doing, but I digress. As dusk fell, they cornered the fugitive against a crumbling precipice. The bounty seemed like a mortal lock. It was not. The terrified Terhalgetani held himself hostage. The bounty hunters were caught in a conundrum. The cliff was too cracked to send a man after him. Any second, the bluff might slough off entirely. The Terhalgetani stood with his heels over the brink so they couldn't shoot him. At his back was a 1,000-foot drop into a frothing fjord. The gurgling roar made Flinzer's shoulders hunch. He hated any water he couldn't see the bottom of. Flinzer tried to talk the Terhalgetani down, but whatever fate awaited the fugitive must have been dark indeed. After 2 fruitless hours, the mark took his chances and dove off the cliff. The Terhalgetani couldn't have survived, but again, Flinzer was denied. No body, no bounty. He stared down into the churning drink and despaired. So, another thing to think about here. We're going to try and put in a prelude chapter before this, because this is like a dense thing. I think most readers would have tapped out on like the first or second page, and it may be too much to just give 3 examples of this whole thing, but I do like how each one develops the troop in a different way, and there's like a little bit of world building and ties it into the other parts in like Xananank and Rapasaurus and stuff, also in Master Arcanist. So it's a contiguous world, but I think only people who like know my work and like it would venture through this whole thing. Like I have sent the story to friends, and they have just been like, I think nobody's gonna read this one. Which is not the most auspicious start to the new editing stream, but I don't care. I want to work on this story. I'm doing it for me. Let's see. The Terhalgetani folly was an unequivocally dismal start to the summer. 10 men had the good sense to desert after the catastrophe in Kaz. Oh, wait. I wrote a little story like this once. Only instead of being hard to read, it was hard to type. It had long stretches that were just left-hand keys. Huh. Weird. I have never noticed like how much is left-hand or whatever. I'm only typing with like 3 fingers. I'm like, nah. I'm maging it. But 10 men had the good sense to desert after the catastrophe in Kaz. Flinzer knew more men were sure to follow if he didn't right the ship, right quick. To wit, he doubled down and bet his entire season on one big score. Flinzer swiftly signed a contract to stalk the runaway prince of Caterwall Castle. Oh, all right, hold on. Very ADHD friendly. All right, good. Flinzer swiftly signed a contract to stalk the runaway prince of Caterwall Castle across the numberless Everbogian Isles. Even at the outset, it was no easy prospect. The Everbog was forever fogged with mucilaginous gloom, adrift with noxious miasma, and beset by sun-swallowing swarms of insatiable insects. Yeah. I can't believe I put this together. What was I doing? Oh, shout out to Tulpo there for following up on this guy. Thank you. The locals were uncommonly untrustworthy, and the runaway Regal was as slippery a mark as any man Flinzer had ever followed. No matter how hard they hoofed it, the hunters were always a day behind. After 3 months of tribulation, the Quagmire dragnet verged on outright disaster. Only the time they'd already wasted fueled their pointless pursuit. When all seemed lost, luck struck. Their quarry tarried a touch too long in the boudoir of a swamp witch. Flinzer's squad sprang as the target stumbled out of the shack, still buttoning his pants. I like that both of these people... Oh, shout out to Coffee Quills. And hi, this is a raid. And then Ban Bo... I remember Coffee Quills from some other thing. And then Ban Bo Han has to be some kind of Vietnamese right there. And little kids screaming outside the window. Well, just turn the speakers up loud, and I will lay a stream of profanity, such as will blow his little mind. Yeah, it's not hard to tell. I like them Vietnamese in general. It's a kind of positive racism right there. I used to hang out with like a bunch of Vietnamese people in New Orleans. I like Vietnamese food. Maybe I should move to Vietnam. Yeah, well, that's the good half right there. Not them accursed whites. Now, I can see why people spent centuries trying to oppress and devastate Vietnam. The food is so good. It rules. At some point, I want to go check it out myself. But yeah, now I want like a sandwich that I can't have, and that hot iced coffee and hot iced coffee. What am I fucking thinking? Anyhow, their quarry tarried a touch too long in the boudoir of a swamp witch. Flinzer's squad sprang as the target stumbled out of the shack, still buttoning his pants. At last, they'd captured the elusive fugitive. Alas, they'd been hoodwinked. Unknown to Flinzer, his princely prisoner was merely a sly servant with a passing resemblance. Meanwhile, the true heir was holed up inside Cotterwall, plotting in the guise of a penitent monk. By the time Flinzer hauled the so-called prince back to Cotterwall, the coup was complete. The former king swung from the gallows. The surreptitious prince was newly crowned as king of Cotterwall. He proposed Flinzer's flock ought to dangle alongside the old monarch and keep him company. In abject abasement, Flinzer crawled before the court on all fours like a dog and begged for mercy. The patricidal prince laughed himself into a fit and was convinced to commute their executions to mere banishment. After the narrow escape from the Everbog, a mass exodus began. From his previous troop of 22, the 6 men who stood behind Flinzer were all that remained. Some summer. Oh, shoot, this is cool. Ban Bo Han has 2 meanings, either precious cake or an onion steam bun. I like when names have meanings. That's the worst part about the English. Our names don't mean dick. I do like precious cake, though. It's dope. All right. Some summer. Okay, so here, what we've got so far, Flinzer arrives to a sorry welcome. The old man who is proposing the bounty is crusty and full of mistrust. Then he thinks about all the bounties that he blew this year. 1, 2, 3 of them, right? You start to get the idea that these characters are desperate and down on their luck, and things might not be about to get better, right? They're on a losing streak. So I like that. It's a good part of the setup right here. A bounty is always like a good setup to a story, and especially when you establish like a little bit of mystery about what's going on, which we were about to do. Some summer. The spearmen fidgeted against the weight of their arms. Flashing back to the drawbridge, Flinzer realized he must have been adrift for a minute or more. He could only hope it came across as a dramatic pause. Moraine soaked it all in and let him languish. The old man knew a thing or two about losing the thread. We'll see, Flinzer shrugged at last. So I think I almost think that there's a comma between Flinzer and shrugged. And I think that there is probably a comma on we'll see. This is something I'll leave for the proofreader right there, because I just don't know. I'm a little hazy on when you use commas after quotes. And I think that this is a motion, not that shrugging is how he's saying the thing. We will or we won't. Bring me Three Wolf's body, boy. I want him intact. Every finger and toe. Try not to mark him much. What? Why? Flinzer squinted at the unusual request. I'm having him stuffed, Moraine smiled wide. No deal. How do I know how many fingers he's got? It's freezing up here. The bounty poster said 100 ducats for 3 wolves' head. If you want us to drag the whole body in, it's double. 300 if you want him alive. Pah! No. Never mind all that. It was whimsy anyway. I doubt your mangy crew will amount to much. We'll see, Flinzer repeated. We will, or we won't. Likely won't. But if you scoundrels should somehow succeed, heed me. You best make damn double sure you kill all 3 wolves after. They'll hound you under the ends of the ark. Uncanny creatures. So he smirks somewhere else in here. Let's see. So you can only use smirk so many times in a story. So we do have a budget for smirking. Does he grin somewhere? I think we talk about his gap-tooth grin. Let's see if there's some alternative to smirk that we can use. So we use grin. He's not quite sneering here. And sneer is a... we could say that he's smugged. He's not leering. He's not beaming. He's not simpering. No, let's just have... Let's go with smiled. Oh shit, it's Bradius. What's going on, Brongulus? Sneer is a bit rude. I mean, he's a rude person. It's just a sneer has to have more oomph on it than just like a smile right there. So he's not smirking. He's not grinning. He's not leering. He's not simpering. He's just smiling. Hold on. Let's try it. Where is the other smirk in here? Now let's just do smirked. All right, I'm going to give that to pancakes right here. Yeah, because there's a little... one. Cool. Now it's a tie for the lead. Oh, Catalyst should have been here. I didn't link it in the GRE Discord today. I don't want to spam them. Yeah. All right, so... Yeah, because part of it is like, I'm having him stuffed. It's a little theatrical there, so I'll take it. All right, so now he's saying that the wolves are uncanny creatures. It's already underway. We'll kill those wolves first to draw them out. So I kind of... Yeah. Already underway. We'll kill those wolves first to draw them out. They should be the wolves, not... We'll kill the wolves first to draw them out. Okay, so here... Oh, shoot, who is administrator right here? Is the administrator of YouTube? Oh, we're all... it's not a scoff, for sure. Because for it to be scoffing, Flinzer would have to propose something, and he would have to scoff at it. But... let me see... Moraine was taken aback at Flinzer's tack. I wouldn't recommend that. Why not? If you men can catch Three-Wolf with his pants down, who's to say what might transpire? But if he's riled by the death of his flea-bitten friends, you lot haven't a hope in hell. Three-Wolf's wrath will be the end of more than you. We'll see, Flinzer said a third time. He was sick of the sight of Moraine and wanted to leave, but their parley was incomplete. Flinzer ignored the jittery pikes and pressed on. When I bring you Three-Wolf's head, I want the entire sum before the sun sets. No partial payments, no excuses. Are we clear? Drivel. You can't make demands on the back of what you've yet to do. Moraine parried with a lemon-sucking smirk. All right. So we can't do... That's what I was... Let's just take out the... Let's just make it a grin. That was the problem. I'm not going to revoke the point, though, because I thought it was a good point. But I am not going to lose lemon-sucking smirk to have a smirk earlier. Yeah, one of the big things in these edits is looking for frequency of repetition. It grins a little better than smile. It has like more of a sinister quality to it. And he's talking about, it should be like a macabre Grant. He's like, I'm having him stuff. He's talking about like having a person fucking taxidermied. So yeah, let's stick with it for now. But yeah, I knew that there was a smirk later on, and that's why I didn't want to do it initially. Marini parried with a lemon-sucking smirk. I'm not cutting that one out. That was good. I want your word before all these men, else we'll turn right around and hunt some other bounty. I don't kill anything for free. I think there's a comma there after the end, but again, it's a proofreader thing. Unless we have like somebody who is very grammatical here, I just don't know. And I don't kill anything for free. If you want those wolves dead, you can cough up 10 ducats apiece. Marini took a long time considering. Oh, shout outs to Steve and stuff. Holla. Comma after and. All right. All right. I'm at the beginning of a sentence. Yeah. This is, as a general rule, you don't need a comma and. Even if you start a sentence with an introductory and, you should not place a comma after it. Boom. What's up, sir? I vaguely remember Steven stuff. I don't know if you've watched a stream before. It's been like a year or two. So a lot of familiar chatters are on a. So this is a trap that you can fall into, is like inserting commas as pauses. Commas are not pauses, right? Commas are meant to break up clauses, and that's just it. Their main focus is breaking up clauses. They are a tool for separating discrete bits of information. They are not an instruction to pause. I used to, when I was editing, and I still do to some extent, just put a comma wherever I would have a pause, and then proofreaders and editors are like, this is not how commas work. It's weird, but they are meant to convey information, and they are just meant to separate bits of information. Is my understanding of commas. Again, I know a lot about writing stories that don't sell. I don't know as much about grammar. So I'm open to correction. But there I'm right. I want your word before all these men, else we'll turn right around and hunt some other bounty. And I don't kill anything for free. If you want those wolves dead, you can cough up 10 ducats apiece. Marini took a long time considering. His gloomy eyes glazed and stared right through Flinzer. How many men had stood in this same spot, certain they'd be the ones? So here's a chance where, theoretically, we could put this into italics, because it is an interior monologue from Flinzer. Yeah, in fact, I think it's a direct. So this is a direct thought from Flinzer, who is the narrative. But it's like a quote in thought, so I'm going to put it in italics for here. How many men had stood in this same spot, certain they'd be the ones? If Flinzer could figure what mistakes they'd made, perhaps he and his troop could be saved. At last, Marini. So, okay, this should almost be. No, let's just keep it all one paragraph, because like you could almost bust that into 3 paragraphs. Gloomy eyes glazed and stared right through Flinzer. But it's all kind of part of the same idea. And it caps with Marini going like, stop in the name of love before you. Anyhow. On my name, Marini, Lord of Skywark Keep, Vanguard of Adder Vale, I swear it so. 100 ducats, true gold, for 3 wolves' head, before sunset, on the very day you supply it. I won't pay a whit for wolves. You want to ignore my Yeah. If you want to ignore my sage advice, that's your problem. Fine, Flinzer spat. No, it'd be more like a fine. Fine. It's hard to do it without volume. Fine, Flinzer spat. He turned his back on Marini and stalked away. Swirls of snowflakes curled down the 7 spurned hunters as they slogged back down the mountain. It was a cold and miserable night. 7 spurned bounty hunters as they slogged back down the mountain. It was a cold and miserable night. Okay, so I'm feeling better about chapter 1 there. The reasons being that 1 it establishes Flinzer as kind of like a hard case. Like he's talking about killing wolves. Generally, this is going to lead the reader a little bit more to, wow, Flinzer's kind of an asshole, right? And he's a cop, right? Or an extension of the cops. So you don't initially fall head over heels over the Flinzer character. The reader should have some sentiment of like, all right, well, he's obviously the underdog in this thing, but he's kind of got some negative things about him. All good. Oh, what's up, Luce unit? So I like where that's at right there. That's all good to me because I want the reader to not initially identify fully with Flinzer, and then to have the choice whether they want to come around and root for Flinzer or if they want to root for the fugitive, right? I don't want one of the things that is very common in fantasy literature is like you just have your immediate protagonist who is like the boy who finds a meteorite sword and he can do no wrong and he's tempted but he never cheats on his girlfriend and all that and so forth. This is not that kind of story. Everybody here except for Moraine, who we've just hammered it on, right? Because he's a landlord. But everybody here should have a perspective, and you should be able to root for any one of these characters and see where they're from, and they should have dimensionality. So that's the theory, at least, and we'll see how it goes. And so in chapter 2, you get to meet Three Wolf. Let's take a brief break for some coffee. See, nobody's asking me anything, so that's easy. So I will tell you that in LRH, we were supposed to spend the entire month of May vice-free. Like I was going to give up. Basically, Logic is a severe alcoholic, right? And he is getting lost in the sauce. And like we love Logic. Like literally, like I have brotherly love for this man. He's a wonderful person. I want him to have like a good life. And so he knows that he's screwing up, right? He just like smashed his hand into a wall, and it's time, right? So I propose like, hey, what if we just dried out the whole month of May, right? Because I had been drinking a fair bit and being fat, and I'm like, I want to lose some weight. I want to stop spending money on booze and get back into the stream of writing and editing on stream, which I have not done for like almost a year because I'm writing another book. So I propose that we do a let's make it May, and just so every day this month we're not going to drink. I'm going to get some exercise. I'm going to eat well, all that good stuff. And we agreed to this thing. And then yesterday, everybody who had been like, all right, yeah, let's do the no drink in May or whatever, and like get it together and like get our bikini zones waxed for the summer. Everybody but me was drunk as hell by like halfway through the day. And they're like, oh, I got a taper, or like, I decided, I'd rather just be drunk. And everybody but me. And now I'm stuck on this because I said I would do it. So I've got to like not drink and eat healthy and do the stream every day for a month. I only had one drink, says Tulpa. I can't believe everybody flamed out already. We did Sober October last October. And Dwayne, who is a perpetual person on the stream and everything, Dwayne signed up for this, right? But he didn't even make it to day one. He was drunk as shit the night before. He didn't even make it to one day. Oh, what's up, Magic? Welcome to the stream. So, yeah, we have a bad history. But the last time we did Sober October, it was really good for a lot of people who like signed on and got onto it. I think Dingo had been smoking weed every day for a long time, and he thought he had long COVID, but it was just he smoked weed every day. Dwayne is, I think, a 63-year-old drunk in Winnipeg who is a paladin. He's like a real-life paladin who goes around, he thinks, spreading the word of God. And he's an interesting character. He's been calling into my show for like a number of years. But anyhow, Dwayne is too far gone. Like he could never stop drinking. He will die probably with a bottle of cooking sherry in his hand. So anyhow, suffice to say that I am stuck on this because I have proposed that I'm going to do this, but everybody else crapped out on me, so I'm on my lonesome for now. Some people are going to try to join back up, but I remain skeptical that they can do it. I'm not even sure that I can do it because booze, like, and booze, like, not just that, but like eating candy and all that stuff. All right, let's get into chapter 2. So in chapter 2, is it 2? No, you can absolutely just start on the second, see how many days you can get and then go one day longer or whatever. I want company on this thing. Good Lord. I mean, the nice thing about the Sober October thing was at some point when you're trying to give up a vice, that devil's going to be on your shoulder. It's messed up too. One thing I've noticed is like if you're trying to like not eat candy or like beat off or whatever you're trying to do, the first time that you have the urge, like, oh, why don't you go get like a giant sandwich or something like that? You're like, nah, I'm not going to do that because I'm on this thing, right? And then the second time, it comes like 10 minutes later when you've spent all your willpower and everything. No, it's like, no, get the sandwich, dude. And then you're like, well, maybe one sandwich couldn't hurt. And then the third wave comes like 15 minutes after that, and you have no willpower left. Like you're distracted or whatever. And then you go and eat the giant sandwich and immediately go in an anaphylactic shock because you have celiac disease. And then you die. So that's how the cycle of addiction works to giant hoagie sandwiches. So anyhow, we actually wrote a story about addiction to crack cocaine that really taught me a lot about like the whole dopamine loop of resisting addiction and so forth. It doesn't mean that I have any more willpower. It just means that I can identify where I'm fucking up as I'm fucking up. Anyhow, hold on. Let me make sure that this Discord thing isn't Discord banning me, which they love to do it. All right, let me see. Is pancakes? What is it? Oh wow, it looks weird on there. All right, so I got an image from Pancakes of her undressed body. Thank you, Pancakes. Let me see. Kemas. All right, let's go. Chapter 2. On the thickest limb of an ancient black cypress, a well-concealed watcher eyed the switchback path. Not sure about this. Hold on. From the thickest limb of an ancient black cypress, a well-concealed watcher eyed the switchback path. As the simpleton stumbled downhill, he scratched his brow and wondered how the suckers kept coming. 7. Okay, and so as we're going through this thing, I want to make sure that we distinguish the POV of Three Wolf, this is Three Wolf's POV right now, from the POV of Flinzer, because I'm writing both of these, and these are both ornery old characters. I was just showing you it was clear. Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, it's the motion that we were having the issue with on LRH, which was like me turning into like digital noise and stuff. It's actually kind of cool. But I still haven't fixed that. I think it's an ingest issue with YouTube. But it doesn't matter this week because we're banned. Anyhow, let me see. 7. And so late in the season. Fools for certain, doubtless doubly desperate, and that meant triple trouble for Three Wolf. Though hard and overgrown, his head was firmly attached to his shoulders. He intended to keep it there. He gazed up the serpentine gaze is too much there. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, that'll make it easier for me to concentrate. Thank you very much. Let me see. Though hard and overgrown, his head was firmly attached to his shoulders. He intended to keep it there. So I want something like, oh shoot, is Kuntz is up in this? My grandfather was a B-17 tail gunner in World War II, and he passed away this week. R.I.P. Corporal E.T. Flood, and bless you for your service. I can't believe Kuntz is awake. All right, did we have stare earlier? Scratch his brow. Okay. Okay. He intended to keep it there. Three Wolf's stare followed the serpentine trail towards the dark outline of Skywark Keep, where the coward Moraine laired. As the sun set, he pondered the problem. Okay, cool. Laird is a bit much. Well, like the whole story is a bit much. Let me see. I like that we have rhyme between stare and laird. Let's read it a couple more times. We could have where Moraine cowered. Let me see. Three Wolves stared, followed the serpentine trail towards the dark outline of Skywark Keep, where the coward Moraine laired. As the sun set, he pondered the problem. Let's see. I almost want to have a paragraph break here. Right? Let's do this. Indents. Bop, bop. I think I can do layered. Honestly, I'm gonna stick with it for now. I think you're probably right, but though hard and overgrown, his head was firmly attached to his shoulders. He intended to keep it there. He glanced up the serpentine. We don't need serpentine at all, though. Like this is the kind of thing that I want to yank out of here. As the sun set, Three Wolf pondered the problem. His true name was Rodef Semilat, but few knew it any longer. Oh wait, oh no, I just did all the alliteration in the story is intentional. There, it really is meant to be just chock full of internal rhyme and alliteration. Yeah, if you were not here for the first chapter and so forth, let me give you an example of the level of alliteration that we're shooting for. Let me see. It's in the Boodle Brothers part here. Let me see. I think it was the first thing. They even let Tom pull the guillotine lever and behead both Boodle Brothers. The forgers' skulls were gilded via their own method. Those gruesome golden gourds hung from the rostrum of the Royal Marlin above the main palace gate, lanced through the socket. Alas, the boodle beat was especially bad because Flinzer had snaked 2 scores from Fat Tom the year before. He was due. Yeah. So that's around the level of froofiness that we're going for in this particular story. So it is there. You could potentially make an argument that we could, to isolate the POVs of Three Wolf and him, we could take out all the bardic language from this, but it'd be hard to do because I think I've written both of them in the same way. So it would be one potential thing that we could do upon the rewrite is just have the language of the Three Wolf chapters be like very stark and to the point and natural, just to which would a little bit outline the fact that that is obviously kind of put on and strained in the first chapter. That's something I should consider. His true name was Rodef Semilat, but few knew it any longer. So Rodef Semilat is Hebrew, and it means a white wolf, but in Hebrew it means a skirt chaser. The two are synonymous, and particularly, I think it's associated with like an older man who like dates teenagers or something like that. Don't quote me on that because I don't know Hebrew. I'm just reading what other people have written there. But I believe that it is a. This is just a. I can't remember if it was Hebrew or Romanian. I think it's like a Romanian twist on like the like Romanian Hebrew or something like that. Anyhow, that's what that name means. It's not just nonsense. Typically, I think from this story, I'm pulling for the names and stuff like that. I'm pulling largely from Romanian that I change up a little bit, like Latin modifiers and so forth. That's a lazy way to do fantasy names and stuff like that. Just look for the Latin root and then spin out to where it went in different languages, and then try to make something of it. And hopefully it doesn't stick out too much. His true name was Rodef Semelat, but few knew it any longer. For more than a decade, Three Wolf had waited for the moth-eaten miser to give up the ghost and die already. Moraine would not oblige. The old landlord survived on sheer spite. As the years dried up, a bitter brace of hoary, enduring hate bold. Oh, wow, this is a sentence. As the years dried up, a bitter brace of hoary, enduring hate bound the old man's bones together. It's a little repetitive. Yeah. Yeah, we don't need we can take out this sheer spite thing. Because we're basically just saying this two separate ways here. Moraine would not oblige. As the years dried up, a bitter brace of hoary, enduring hate bound the old man's bones together, until rancor became his sole purpose. Over the years, routine hardened into ritual, and the pursuit became perpetual. Oh yeah. We are not able to segregate the overwrought language from one section to another because it's all going to be like this. So the narrator has to be just overall Flinzer, and it's all written more or less in his voice. And then the Three Wolf chapters are his voice, but they need to be differentiated. Each spring, a ream of newly inked bounties was thrust into the unhappy hands of the least favored son of Skywork. The unfortunate page would spend his season roaming the realm, tacking bounty bills to town halls and tavern walls across the Ark. Ark is capital. Oh, shit. Precious Cake is following. Thank you for joining onto this thing. I will be doing this every morning, all month, and then I'm going to try to persist until I think I'm vacationing a lot in June. But yeah, next we're going to get into a gigantic fantasy novel. That's going to take me at least another year to finish. So good luck. Let me see. Each spring, a ream of newly inked bounties was thrust into the unhappy hands of the least favored son of Skywork. The unfortunate page would spend his season roaming the realm, tacking bounty bills to town halls and tavern walls across the Ark. Every morning for a month. Oh, yeah. Oh, no worries. Thank you for the follow. Three Wolf suspected the bounty had been paid many times over in ink, vellum, and boot leather. I like that. Still. All right, and we definitely need a comma here. Still, the pages went out, perennial as phlox. I feel bad for anybody that has to read perennial as phlox. God. Still, the pages went out, perennial as phlox. They could not be stopped at the source. So this is kind of like an interesting chance right here. I think that as I wrote this, I tried to make Three Wolves metaphors more nature-oriented, and then the Flinzer ones would be more humanistic. But I can't remember. I think the two chapters are the two characters are going to have like a lot of blurring between them, and once I read like a little bit more, I'll have a better idea. They could not be stopped at the source. On the third year, Three Wolf intercepted the Waybill boy and relieved him of his entire. On the third year, Three Wolf intercepted the Waybill boy, relieved him of his entire stack, and sent him back intact. This is atrocious. Moraine had the boy beaten bloody and sent out twice as many bounties under armed guard. The cycle continued. Rodef dutifully dispatched the fools who tried to track him down. He assumed word would get around, the hunt was hopeless, and all who pursued were doomed. Sadly, the supply of suckers seemed everlasting. Without fail, each year, a troop or two of rubes would bite on the bait. They all slogged north to stand at the bitter end of the drawbridge and be snubbed, just like the 7 dolts below. On occasion, some single-minded, self-righteous sap would show up on his lonesome and proclaim himself the long-awaited legend slayer. Come one, come all, the result was the same, pain without gain. Old man Moraine lurked in Skywark Keep, and the puppets danced to his tune till their strings were cut short. Damn. Yeah, I didn't expect the Three Wolf chapters to be more prosy than the Good Lord. The 7 bounty men began to pitch camp at the hollow ahead, unfortunately, just short of Three Wolf's intended. The 7 bounty men began to pitch camp at the hollow ahead. Unfortunately, they stopped short of Three Wolf's intended ambush. The hunters were too distant to hear, but he could read much from their posture. Brusque, unhappy movements, hanging heads, the leaden steps of men who wish they were dead. Rodef tugged at his flowing black beard and considered his options. If they posted a single guard, he could put an arrow through the man's throat, rush the camp, and perhaps rout the rest. But these men didn't seem green enough to set a one-man watch. With 2, the other would surely sound the alarm. It could get complicated. One of the men hurled a stick at the other, and the graybeard. There's no comma there. One of the men hurled a stick at the other, and the graybeard had to break them both up. Okay. One of the men hurled a stick at the other. Oh, what's up, Miss Hilder90? Good Lord. Well, I'm glad I paid the money to get onto Twitch here. I'm like on Facebook and Twitch and DLive and Lord knows what else there. But yeah, because I need the company real bad to get through this. I think there's 24 people watching this guy for some reason. That is the most people I've ever had on any one of these editing streams. So thank you to whoever rated us. Let me see. One of the men hurled a stick at the other, and the graybeard had to break up a scuffle. Oh, shit. That was Pancake, too. His hand cut the air as he chided them, but his touch was light. Soon, the others were laughing. We need a comma. Soon, the others were laughing. This was their leader. One of the men folded his arms across his chest as the graybeard spoke. Rodef raised an eyebrow. Dissent in the ranks. Perhaps, comma. He didn't even need to attack. If he managed to spook 1 or 2, he might pick this squabbling squad apart at the seams. Split the pack. If he managed to spook 1 or 2, he might pick this squabbling squad apart at the squad. If he managed to spook 1 or 2, he might pick this. If he managed to spook 1 or 2, he could pick this squabbling squad apart at the seams, split the pack, and turn them back. The idea of ending the entire enterprise without bloodshed was appealing. It would be a welcome change, an auspicious start to the winter. Let me see. Mm, Finally, you're getting in there. All right, I completely missed the and. There you go. Welcome to the club, Bradius. That's all you need to like get in the acknowledgments page of this book. Just that one edit. I wonder if we can call the bounty attempt. God, what can we call it? So they're a deathless. Let's look for a synonym for hunt. I would love to find deathless. We could do deathless quest because it rhymes, but steeplechase is like close to what I want. Here, let's see what deathless frisking, hounding, prying. I think a hunt is the best that we can get there. Yeah. So stalk. Stalk is not quite what I want. Thank you though. Butch flamingo. I'm like kind of a butch flamingo myself here with this haircut. If you like flamingo coladas, a suspicious. No. It's auspicious is the word that we want. It means fortunate. Um, you can remember it because AU is gold. Why do I remember that? And then finding gold is auspicious. I think the root. Let's find out what the root of auspicious is. So I always go to Wiktionary. So I don't know if it actually includes gold in the root. From auspice and us, and then auspice comes auspicium in Latin, in turn from auspex. Auspex. Oh no, auspex is closer to from avispex, who examines the flight of birds. So it's from like bird sorcery. Oh yeah, I'm sure that's why. The second part is related to Spectre, and I use Haruspex in a different story there. That's super cool. I didn't know that auspicious came from birds. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Auspicium from auspice, and then auspice. Auspice is just like general fortune, I think. Um, Under the protection or an omen or a sign. Okay, cool. Ooh, I had no idea that. So generally, like in English, let me make sure that I'm using this correctly because I think auspicious means a good omen, right? Conducive to success, marked by success or prosperous, right? But if we go to auspice, there is not like the same positive connotation from there. And then if we go all the way back to auspex, it was somebody who was reading the future from the flights of birds. Super cool. I'm glad I took a look. Let's see. Let's look. I'm manhunt. I feel like there is a word specifically for the practice of like hunting a person. We could use deathless pursuit. Oh no, we used pursuit earlier. I really want to find a decent word for this here. So we're looking to say that this group of men going out hunting for him, none of them die. That's what he's looking for there. So deathless seems to ending the entire enterprise. Um, a murderless manhunt would be an auspicious start to the winter. I'm keeping that. That's awful. Um, a murderless manhunt would be an auspicious start to the winter. For all his dark deeds, Rodef had no love of slaughter. It all got old long ago. I don't know about murderless. In fact, we can just take out this auspicious start to the winter. Yeah. Again, you're going to see a lot of situations where I state a point and then I repeat it in a fancier way. And like, I'm definitely looking to cut some of those out of the story. You don't need to tell people twice. It all got old long ago. Okay, so here we're establishing Rodef Semelat, aka Three Wolf, the titular. Obviously, he's important in the story. It's got his name. We're establishing him as somebody who doesn't like to just go and murk bounty hunters because he's bored. From his high perch, Three Wolf raised his eyes to the distant ramparts of Skywork. From his high perch, Three Wolf raised his eyes again to the distant ramparts of Skywork. The banners were furled, the bridge was drawn. The nightmen walked the walls with their lanterns. If only he could put an end to this savage cycle. Yeah. All right, so also a little bit repetitive, because he looks at the ramparts. Let's take a look at the first time where he looks at the ramparts, and yeah, we can just cut this glance to the trail there. Cool. Yeah, so it gets even better. Yeah, we can cut a lot of this horse shit out of here. Let's see. That's good. Because that one stuck out to me before. It was like I was not completely satisfied with that one, so that's good. I like all the descent in the ranks, where he's eyeing how to break up their posse. Let's see. From his high perch, Three Wolf raised his eyes. From his high perch, Three Wolf raised his eyes to the distant ramparts of Skywork. The banners were furled, the bridge was drawn. The nightmen walked the walls with their lanterns. If only he could put an end to this savage cycle. Moraine kept himself well sequestered. The old landlord never ventured down the switchback path any longer, not even ringed by bodyguards. Any tree within bow's reach of the keep had its limbs stripped to thwart snipers. Moraine would not even allow animals within Skywork. No dogs drowsed by the hearths, no sheep bleated within his walls. He would not even permit birds to roost on his roofs. So we have two not evens. Moraine forbade animals within Skywork. No dogs drowsed by his hearth. Okay, let's start him. The old landlord never ventured down the switchback path any longer, not even ringed by bodyguards. Any tree within bow's reach of the keep had its limbs stripped to thwart snipers. Moraine forbade animals within Skywork. As well, Moraine forbade animals within Skywork. No dogs drowsed by his hearths, no sheep bleated within his walls. He would not even permit birds to roost on his roofs. His grumbling archers spent half their days pot-shotting the pigeons. Three Wolf had heard the subjects of Skywork considered Moraine's precautions pointless paranoia, but they were wrong. Ooh. So I want to make it like a little bit more Canadian of a story. So now he heard tell. Three Wolf heard tell the subjects of Skywork considered Marini's precautions pointless paranoia, but they were wrong. Night fell upon the sad little camp, and the bounty hunters got a fire going. At one point, the graybeards stood apart from the others and stared into the tree line, directly at the watcher's roost. So the watcher there. So I just used. Did I just use roost? Oh yeah, yeah. I used perch here. Oh yeah, we did use roost on his roofs. Okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna give Pancake a point here because roost is another one that we can't. You get one roost per book, I think, and we can't use perch either. And we use tree stand. All right, night fell upon. Do we need the upon? Night fell on the sad little camp, and the bounty hunters got a fire going. At one point, the graybeards stood apart from the others and stared into the tree line, straight at Three Wolf's branch. Three Wolf didn't flinch. Three Wolf didn't flinch. Despite his size, he was invisible within the trees and knew how to pass without a trace. Still, the graybeard's gaze lingered. Rodef lamented. Lamented is too much. I don't want lamented, but I also like dreary camp over sad camp. I do so. To me, dreary has a lot to do with the weather, right? You're like it's foggy, it's gray, etc. And it doesn't really fit because like night has fallen at this point here. Um, what I'm gonna stick with sad camp there. Um, mm. Rodef shook his head. In a way, it was worse than if he'd been made. Some uncanny intuition. I can't use uncanny there because I call the wolves uncanny. What we want is like fey, but not exactly. Secret. Yeah, uncanny is very close to what I want, but like I also don't want to have numerous appearances of it. Visionary. Let's see. Astral's too much. Oh, I like Mantic. Yeah. Let's see what Mantic actually means right there. Otherworld. Oh. Let's take a look at Mantic. I think I use Mantic later in the story, actually. From I Am Mad Raving, relating to divination. Well, we're really going kind of deep there. Oh, here. Some queer intuition guided this ringleader. He had the knack. No, queer is not better than uncanny. Yeah, this is like us saying that he has the shining. I could say an innate. Yeah, we'll just leave uncanny there because I think Mantic is like a word that most people will have to like because it didn't immediately spring to mind for me, and like most people will have to be like, what the fuck does that mean? Um, yeah, we can just have two uncannies. Some uncanny intuition guided this ringleader. He had the knack. Did we use Peer somewhere else? Let's use Peer. Peer kind of works here because the idea is that he's like looking through the leaves, which to me is like a classical spot where I would use the word peer. Three Wolf peered back at the green-eyed man and wondered if his plan for peace was prudent. An arrow through the graybeard might save them all a great deal of suffering, but he was too far from the mark to be sure of the shot. Time whistled away with the wind, and the posse posted their watch. 2, as expected. Three Wolf waited for his moment. He was well armed, but patience was foremost in his arsenal. If a guard shift If a shift fell asleep, he would slit their throats and set upon the others. 7 men was too many to chance, but 5 against 1 was good sport. The bounty hunters were a disciplined bunch. All right, here. There's a new paragraph. The bounty hunters were a disciplined bunch. The first shift shook the second awake and switched. From the way they transitioned, the watcher knew the others would make no mistake. There were other ways. Rodef took a long, deep There were other ways. Rodef took long, deep breaths and let all his thoughts roll down until the wheel was still. In tranquil acquiescence. There we go. In tranquil acquiescence, Rodef dispensed with the pretense of himself, any idea of a distinction between man and land. All was one. Awareness seeped through the copse like spilled ink. There was a foxburrow below his perch. A lone vespertine vixen curled within. She was too timid to serve. So alarmed by the arrival of the strangers, she dared not slip out to hunt. The fox was so alarmed by the arrival of the strangers, she dared not slip out to hunt. There was a saw-whet owl one tree over, but they were secretive birds and preferred to be undisturbed. Perhaps it might change his mind if offered a fat mouse or a juicy vole, but Three Wolf had neither. It seemed no allies were at hand. All right, there we go. So here we get into the magic of the story. That's exactly what I want. So Brongulus says that Vespertine Vixus is preposterously purple prose. Holy God, thank you. All right, mission accomplished. That's awful, right? That's it should be like a fucking writer jail, and I should be locked up for life after that one. That's what we're going for with the story. In fact, I think with this one, my idea was that I should find an editor who would help me ham it up worse, really, truly. Because it's so far. We might need to like push into so bad as good territory here, but we'll see. That is absurd. I'm just doing it because it's fun. Uh, but yeah, this should be like WH Strunk should be behind me with a ruler just hitting me every time that I do this. Ah. It seemed no allies were at hand, but at the limit of his insight, Rodef felt a bird blink awake. A great murder of crows roosted in a tall yellow pine near the trailhead. Surrounded by the smell of sweet vanilla sap, the whole flock was holed up for the night. They'd begun their migration that very morning. Countless shadows lined the limbs and dreamed crow-black dreams. I just want to shout out to The Cure. Well, often, like, an editor will make certain things worse in a story, but, like, I literally want to find an editor who is more up their own ass than me to just like, because I mean, it there's definitely a point where stylization becomes gauche, and there's a point where, which I would say that we're into gauche, but there is a point where you can go past gauche into inspired, right? And I think we might just need a slight pull. We just need like a slight boot in the ass to get across the finish line on that one, right? Take the story from God, why is he doing that? To I can't believe he's doing that. I think if you own the style, it works. Oh yeah, this has been my style for like the last 2 years. I have other works that are more insipid than this, but so I use this phrase all the time, crow black dreams, just as a shout out to The Cure. Every night I fall, every night I call your name. Wait, who actually? It was The Cure that did that, right? Let's see. Oh, it was a Joy Division song. Yeah, it wasn't the fucking Cure. Um, featured a lengthy intro designed for live shows. Hell yeah! All right. I mean, I feel okay mistaking The Cure for a Joy Division because the only difference is that like Joy Division, the guy had the good sense to kill himself before he got whack. So that's the only difference between those two bands. Wait, which one was the one in the Crow soundtrack? Was it Joy Division that did that thing, or okay, Nine Inch Nails covered Dead Souls. Oh no, it was fucking. I'm just thinking of the wrong song. Um, I think it was Burn. Yeah, it's definitely Burn. So it was a Cure song all along. God, diving deep into um shitty fucking goth bands. Surrounded. Countless shadows lined the limbs and dreamed crow-black dreams. Rodef smiled and pursed his lips to the wind. Mischief, he whispered. At once, the yellow pine fluttered with interest. So I actually did research on this. Yellow pines do have a particularly fragrant vanilla-y smelling sap, and they do fit within like the boreal landscape here. Most of the wildlife that we're talking about here is going to be specific to northern Canada, but I think we throw in some trees and stuff like that that are only in Siberia. It's all northern Arctic Circle type trees and whatnot here. We don't make up like non-existent trees, and everything is supposed to track and be realistic within the context of where plants and stuff are on Earth, even though this is a secondary world and so forth. I'm just doing that for consistency, so it's not like we have like a banana tree sitting among a bunch of aspen or nonsense like that. So in my understanding, the plant life is plausible here based on what's happening, but I could easily be wrong. All right, let me just check IRC to make sure that I'm not accruing death threats the whole time that we're doing this. Somebody had Domer message me, and then Jewbird is still upset. Yeah, he's still. I talked to this guy like it feels like once every 3 months I have to set him straight and be like, no, we're not friends. Stop talking to me. Um, but yes, I am still reading live phase in the chat. And the edit stream is public. Anybody can mention it if they so choose. IRC, now there's an acronym I haven't used. Yeah, so all the people that are involved in this stream, mainly me, we're like, have been on IRC since the late 90s. And that's how we all know each other for the most part. We're insufferable people. But yeah, that's what we mainly get into. I don't know if you can be deeper into the IRC scene than I am. I might be like the festering cancer at the center of it all. And that sounds very supercilious, but IRC them. it sounds very vain for me to say that, but I really am pretty entrenched within a number of large IRC scenes, which I shouldn't talk about on this stream. Yeah, but suffice to say, I've wasted enormous portions of my life there. All right, so we're getting into the only magic that is in this story is Three Wolf in this way. So, mischief, he whispered. At once, the yellow pine fluttered with interest. We don't need at once. The yellow pine fluttered with interest. Dark brown eyes shot wide and black beaks clacked in curiosity. Rodef composed his thoughts into a form the crows could appreciate, wary and contrary, flitting and free. The blithe blackbirds needed no bribe. Oh my God. Once they understood his intent, the murder riffled with delight. Dark wings climbed into the night until they blotted out the stars. The host of crows wheeled overhead. So we used host a little bit earlier in the story, but I guess people have just looked it up. And the host of crows wheeled overhead 3 times as it composed itself. Now! The great murder fell upon the meager camp like a cloudburst. All was cawing, cackling chaos. The 2 guards panicked and fled for the brush. In their haste, they made the horrible choice to cover... In their haste, they made the horrible choice to take cover in a hawthorn. And so hawthorns are very spiny leaves. You wouldn't want to like duck into one of these bushes. The other hunters woke to find themselves dive-bombed from 1,000 directions. They covered their eyes with sleep-weak arms and tried to... Oh yeah, I did, So, there's no blotted in the text. Let's see which reads better. Dark wings climbed into the night until they blotted the stars, right? Dark wings climbed into the night until they blotted out the stars. The word out isn't doing a lot of work there. Let's look for a syllabic balance. Dark wings climbed into the night. Let's see. Dark wings climbed the night until they blotted the stars. Yeah. So if we removed... Dark wings climbed the night until they blotted out the stars. Okay. The pain of immeasurable cars suffered under the intense bombardment of the winged horde. God. Yeah, I'm going to give that to Steve and stuff. Yeah, blotted out is a conventional. The word is doing no work. But it actually helps the sentence flow a little bit. So congratulations, Steve and stuff. You are now in the acknowledgments page of this book. Boom. Although you're not going to get underscores in the book. You're going to get hyphens, buddy. Let's see. The great murder fell upon the meager camp like a cloudburst. All was cawing, cackling chaos. The 2 guards panicked and fled for the brush. In their haste, they made the horrible choice to take cover in a hawthorn. The other hunters woke to find themselves dive-bombed from 1,000 directions. They covered their eyes with sleep-weak arms and rolled while black beaks plucked their bedrolls to pieces. The graybeard was the first to take action. With his eyes visored by the crook of his arm, he rose with his sword flashing about. Disperse, willed Rodef. Disperse, Three Wolf willed. Disperse, Three Wolf willed. He was keen to avoid casualties among the crows. In a cacophony of mirth, the murder scattered to the treetops and croaked laughter at the ravaged camp. The strangers were riddled with peck marks and scratches. Their clothes were tarred with guano and tufts of wing fluff. What a rout! One final touch. The ranger had them all cry out. And this is the first time that we use ranger. So blot out is a phrasal verb. It means something a little different than blot by itself. Let's examine the truth of that one. So if you blot something, I would take the meaning to be like you're like dabbing at it. Mirth would be state of joy. Mirth is joy, yeah. So it is just all the crows laughing at all these people. But it is also, there's like a million crows up in these trees. Maybe not a million. So crow murders can get into like the hundreds of thousands, I believe. So there could be a lot of these birds. I think I calculated how many there would be at some point. It might be in the notes. And we don't need laughter there. No, I like croak laughter. No, it's pretty heavy-handed to have like a cacophony of mirth. But we're gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna need a refill for the pressure washer with that murder of crows. Oh yeah. One final touch. The ranger had them. Yeah, I let's. I think we used cackled earlier. One final touch. Three Wolf had them all cry out in unison. Doomed, 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 be gone. Let's not have three dooms. Doomed, be gone. Even Three Wolf felt an eerie chill at the sound of so many inhuman voices. With no lips, the crows could not quite produce the B and the G in begone, but the mimicry got his message across. Grinning with glee, wrote it. Yeah. Three Wolf beamed praise at the murder. Superb birds. When you return, come to my valley. I shall fell an elk for you, and no hawk nor wolf shall harry you from your this is superb birds. When you return, come to my valley. I shall fell elk for you, and no hawk nor wolf shall harry you from your prize. I don't like this line here. Superb birds. When you return, come to my valley. Yeah. It is use of shall twice, but it's more that we're gonna. What do crows love to eat? Like corn. Seeds and fruit. What do you feed crows to attract them? Peanuts, walnuts, almonds. Cat or dog food. Corn, sunflower seeds, bird seeds. All right, let's 15 plus foods that crows love. They like snakes, seeds, worms, bitter nightshade berries, watermelon. They like poison ivy? What? Let's say like let's do like a feast of acorns. Crows really like whole eggs. Another favorite is unsalted peanuts, unshelled unsalted peanuts. Oh, you're just copy and pasting this from whatever. Yeah. But like Three Wolf is going to have no way to get eggs for all these crows. Initially, he was going to fell an elk for them, but I can't remember how. It just didn't work. So, superb birds. When you return, come to my valley. I will reward you with a feast of acorns. I want him to say like some like an ocean of acorns. Uh, like acorns everlasting or something. Yeah, let's just say grand feast. Superb birds. When you return, come to my valley. I will reward you with a grand feast. Does Feast of Acorns work better there? No. So I do like this part here. Superb birds. When you return, come to my valley for a feast. Confusion flew through the flock. The promise had too many conditionals for all the crows to grasp it. The sharper crows puffed with pride and spread their wings wide in triumph. Soon the others caught on. Below, the would-be beheaders milled about in a state of shock. Rodef slipped away with a silent prayer. Confusion, comma splice. Let's take a look. I don't like a hyphen there. Confusion flew through the flock. The promised reward had too many conditionals for all the crows to grasp it. I think grass. Yeah, sentence break works better. That is a point. I wanted to say process, but The promised reward had too many conditionals for the slower crows to parse. The sharpest ones puff with pride and spread their wings wide in triumph. Soon the others caught on. Oh. Okay. I like all the crows are like, ah. Okay, I like this. So that is definitely don't ever let me forget a point because the winner gets a hat. It's good. The hat rules. Hold on. You don't already have a hat, Radius? Hold on. We're ending the thing, but before I do, let's finish this thing, and I will see if I can drag up that hat and show you what you could win. Ooh, yeah, like for your unpaid labor. Confusion flew through the flock. The promised reward had too many conditionals for the slower crows to parse. The sharpest ones puffed with pride and spread their wings wide in triumph. Soon the others caught on and flapped. Soon the others caught on and flapped along. Below, below the preening flock, the would-be beheaders milled about in a state of shock. Rodef slipped away and hoped the fools would take the hint. At his back, the crows cried on. No, that's too much. At his back, the crows cried on. Caw-caw! All right, cool. I like this whole deal. I like would-be beheaders milling about in a state of shock. Okay, so what have we done? We're up to page 18. We went through this whole thing. We introduce Rodef Semelat, a.k.a. Three Wolf, the titular character of the thing. We find out that he is tired of murking bounty hunters and that he considers a good sport to be one of him against 5 of them, right? This is a very confident character who has slain countless bounty hunters that have come before, but we find that he is reluctant to do so. And so here we get into a point where he obviously has some kind of empathy with animals to the point where he reaches out to the lone Vespertine vixen and she's too chicken shit. And there's an owl, but what's an owl going to do against 7 bounty hunters? He telepathically communicates with this flock. And one of the things I like about this, so we're calling this guy like a druid or an animal kin or something like that. But I like that he has to compose his thoughts into a form that the crows can understand. And he doesn't need to bribe them. He's just like, yo, we can get into some trouble. And all the crows are like, yeah. And I like that the crows are proud. And I will tell you that even though this is a story about wolves and so forth, hopefully there is not too much animal carnage in this story. It's one of like the crown rules of screenwriting that you don't kill animals unless it's like a big emotional point, and people just don't like it. Is this fan fiction? Yeah, fan fiction of myself. No, I write fantasy and science fiction novels. They are absolutely as good as anything that you would write fan fiction of. Some might say better. All right, give me 1 second, and I'm gonna go find a hat to show you guys. All right. So it was actually like a second. So this is the hat that I give to everybody who wins one of my major edits. And I'll do it for this one too. It's like 80 pages long. Whew, looking good. Hell yeah. You too could be an edit ace if you only come out on top of this whole thing. So I usually send that hat, a signed copy of whatever book we're working on. Can't believe I still have hair. I'm too old for this. And again, if you want, I am sending out these 0 stickers for you to put up at a bar or whatever near you. Here's I just got a new batch of these Zero shirts. Ooh, look at this guy. So these are for people who were part of the Zeros project, people who worked on the edit of Zeros. I also sent them one of these embroidered patches. These things are dope. Hell yeah. Oh, you need a new hat, so some motivation. Yeah, and honestly, what I'm hearing from a lot of people is that they like the editing stream because they can just put me on in the background and get some work done or whittle or beat their kids or whatever they do that they've been meaning to do early in the morning. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm gonna keep editing until the story is done. Looks like we are almost there. It might only take us 7 days to get through the story. So day 1, success. Day 2, success. Caw-caw. Cryptologic linguist. No, so cryptologic linguistics is a job in the Air Force where essentially you are doing code breaking in a language of a country where we can't get enough native-born people to get like the security clearance that we need. So it's basically you're spying on Russia and North Korea and just other places where. So they basically teach you the foreign language, in my case Arabic, and then they have you break code in it. But I was not very good at it. They did not keep me in there for long. Check out these books; they're dope. You can visit the website if you want to find out more about books. And I think I have like a reel running on Instagram. We'll see if that does anything. But yeah, I'm just trying to be a little less lazy about both doing these editing streams and promoting this because, Lord, I ain't never gonna get a giant publisher. I'm too weird, right? Like this is not this kind of goofy fiction is only applicable to like a very small audience of complete nerds. So I'm counting on you to help me out there. All right, thank you to everybody who tuned in. So in the lead right now, I believe, is neck and neck are Big Bradius and Pancakes. Reading the website, a sci-fi fan myself. Yeah, man, check them out. If you are broke, just send me an email, zak@zakzyz.com, and I will send you whatever EPUB you want. And I think you can find most of the books for free on there anyhow, if you're crafty. But yeah, good luck. And once again, if you want advice on finishing your own science fiction novel or ideas about plotting and so forth like that, feel free to reach out to me. And in the end, after these things, I will try to tell you what I think. Keep in mind that even though you see me doing like this dumb shit here, I am a very harsh critic and will not hold back. So you're forewarned. All right. Thank you, everybody. And